Okay. My camera's doing that now, I guess. It's me, it's Acridobject. We're making just a little video here. There's no game. I wanted to do a video this week, I really wanted to, and I was pumped to do a video, but then on Sunday, we got some really unfortunate and bad news that really, I didn't expect it to, I didn't think it would, but it really fucked with me, if that makes sense. On the 14th, we lost Oliver Tree to a helicopter crash. And that really struck me in a way that I didn't think I would react to it. Throughout my life, I would always assume that I wouldn't care too much about a celebrity dying or too much about, you know, something like that. Now, I know that it doesn't seem like Oliver Tree would be my biggest inspiration. I know I don't really show that too much on the channel. He really was one of my biggest inspirations. I mean, he was truly a one-of-a-kind guy. My girlfriend tried her new nail polish set on me. I don't know if you guys can see that. Pretty cool, I guess, right? So basically, I couldn't really bring myself to, like, sit down and edit. I was kind of just in a weird state. There was something about his death that really bothered me in a way that I've never been bothered before by a celebrity dying. Even celebrities that I've really liked, I've never really, like, been super torn up about it, super hard. But this one hit me in a place that I never expected to be hit at all by someone that I've never even met. You know, I don't even know the guy, but it hit me really hard. And I thought maybe this week I could kind of dedicate this time to make a little quick video just talking about death. Now, death is an interesting concept because it's a lot of we don't know, right? There's religions, there's books, there's theories, but there's not really any way to truly know until you get there. And is there even anything? I don't know. But you know, a lot of times when you're growing up and you think about dying, it's a pretty threatening thought. I remember thinking about that shit when I had a brain and I was like 14, and I'd think about like what happens when I die. Like Alt F4 black screen, right? I don't even know. Who knows, right? We don't even know. That's the crazy thing. People say they know. And I mean, listen, this is a bit of a downer video, all right? This isn't gonna be a tee-hee, ha-ha, normal Acridobject video. I just wanted to make a video and just be genuine and just talk about stuff. Because, I mean, it's my YouTube channel. I can do whatever the fuck I want with it anyway, so you're gonna hear it. When I was about 22 years old, my grandmother just suddenly passed away. And that was obviously a bit of a roller coaster because I've never had anybody in my family die. Some people have it young, some people have it later. I personally never had a single person close to me die. So this was a very pivotal moment in my development in my life because, you know, this person that I knew for all 22 years of my life was just gone. Suddenly. She just like died in the hospital after being constipated, and we didn't, nobody expected that. The doctors didn't, right? You know, the doctors checked her out and it was like, oh, she's all good, and then she just like was like that. She was gone, right? Super freaky, but it happens a lot more than you'd think. This is a true story. I'm sitting in my living room because this is where the computer was at the time that I was living at home. We're dealing with my grandma at the hospital and stuff. Me and my brother were hanging out with grandpa all day, right? We were watching Shane with grandpa, you know, the whole thing, right? And then, you know, I'm sitting there playing Elden Ring. I'm about to fight not Star Scourge. Who's the second Estelle? I'm fighting the higher level Estelle. And I'm walking through the ice cave. And I was set up like my PC was like right here, right? And then the door to my garage was like right there. So my family comes in through the garage. And so my dad walks in, silent. And then my mom just bursts in behind him and is like, we just lost your grandma. Just like that. I was sitting there like trying to fight this boss, and I was like, you're telling me grandma's dead? And so this hit me really weird because initially I didn't react to it, and then I immediately stood up, and without saying anything to my parents or my brother, I just got in my car and drove away because I didn't know how to deal with it. This was a feeling I never experienced before. And all of a sudden, you're telling me this person I've known my whole life is gone, right? It's like there's no closure about, well, I mean, I guess there's closure, but there's no, like, you know, goodbye, right? she's dead. So, you know, I'm tearing up, I'm crying on the road, I'm driving. Day in the Life by the Beatles comes on, so I'm crying even harder. I'm like, fucking, thanks, guys, you know? And then I drive over to my elementary school, which is abandoned, and I just sit on the steps of it. And I just like quietly sobbed there for a while, right? And that's like how I dealt with it. Got a big cry out, and it was like, that's what happened. And but it was a long day of sadness. I remember I played a really unhinged, like 20-minute guitar solo in my bedroom for just because to feel, you know, like it was like I was going through the motions, right? Like, you know. And so fast forward a couple years, you know, my grandfather, obviously in ruins, his wife is dead, right? So now for the next 2 years, it's like we just watch him slowly deteriorate. And I go through the experience of sitting in the hospital next to his deathbed and having the last conversation I'm going to with a man who's on his way out. Weird experience, but I will say it probably made me stronger. I don't know. It was such a pivotal experience that was 2 years later. So I was 24. I'm sitting there talking to my grandfather in the hospital because he's dying. It's over. He has like, they just diagnosed him with like super cancer, right? Like he's been having arthritis forever. He's had all these problems. And now the doctors at the hospital are like, yeah, he's got like mega ultra cancer all up in the chest, just everywhere. So, it's kind of over. In a way, this is going to sound bad, but in a way it was kind of a blessing for everybody and him because he was, he never quite recovered from his wife's passing. So, right? So he was always kind of suffering. He was always sad. Always happy when I showed up and I said, hey, right? There were a lot more bad times now than there were good times for him. And everybody in the family had to deal with it. So, a week goes by. He's in the hospital for about a week. Me and my brother go see him together. My dad's like, dude, you gotta go, right? You gotta do it. And like, I want to do it, but it's freaky. For those of you who've never sat down next to somebody at a deathbed moment, it's a freaky time. It's weird, and it's a very mortal experience. I talked about that in my fucking end of the year 2024 video, but it's a weird experience. I think it's a good experience to have because it kind of changes you. And after the passing of both of them, I had the two death experience. I had the sudden passing where I didn't say anything, and then I had like the goodbye ending before they pass. It was like a moment that changed me forever. I remember I walked out of the room and my grandfather looked me in the eyes, looked me and my brother, because, we're like, all right, we've been there for like 2 hours. We're like, all right, Gramps, I guess we're gonna leave now, right? Like, I guess, it's like awkward. It's a weird thing. And, like they're apologizing and you're apologizing, it's like this whole thing. And as we were walking out, the last words he ever spoke to me was, he looked at me like he was like, he wanted to drop like the craziest like one-liner. He looked at me and he was like, I will always be watching over you. That changed me forever. And ever since then, I feel like I've been extremely receptive to death and the concept of it. Not like I freak out at it, but like more like I'm more understanding and accepting of the fact that people do pass and it's just something we all have to go through. And I mean, listen. It's a weird thing. You're gonna sit there and someone will pass close to you and you won't be able to run from it anymore and death will just be in your face. And death will look at you and say, hey bud, it's coming for you eventually. It's gonna be you. Eventually, you don't know when. So ever since then, I think if I had not gone through that experience, maybe Oliver Tree's passing wouldn't have affected me as much as it did, because it was a really tough couple days after he died. I don't know what it was, and everybody on the internet is saying this. He was just a person who was so much himself. And I was a weird kid in high school. I didn't really fit in with like the popular kids, right? So I was always kind of like a weirdo. And so when Oliver Tree was coming out, I remember I was 16 when he dropped Alien Boy. And I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. Like, this is a good song. And then ever since then, I was following him for everything he did. The more I watched of Oliver Tree, the more I digested ever since that moment, the more he inspired me. I've been doing YouTube since 2016, so that's pre-Oliver Tree stuff, right? That's pre-Alien Boy. So after he started coming out with his music and, he's posting all these funny videos online, he really has a lot of YouTuber energy throughout his videos. And all of it was just so genuine that it inspired me to a point where it just, I don't know, it just inspired me. I remember seeing him on his first tour before the album came out in New York City at Webster Hall. One of the craziest shows of my life. It was fucking amazing, right? Like, this guy blew it out of the water. And I remember at the end of the show, he says this at like every show he did, but he would say something along the lines of, no matter how weird you are, no matter how strange you look, you are fucking beautiful. beautiful and you can do anything, right? And to me, that's like, that spoke to me in a way where it was like, I don't need to fit in with like these fucking popular people or like whatever. One of the most inspiring things you can say. I mean, I know that's like kind of what everybody would fucking say at Warped Tour. Like, you know, every band would be like, we're fucking weird at Warped Tour, man. This is where weird people are. But he did it in a way that made it so genuine and so human that it just stuck with me since. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't really like Cowboy Tears or Alone in a Crowd that much. I think his first album's fantastic. After his passing, listening to this new album that he just dropped, it's like low-key the best one since Ugly is Beautiful. It's so good. It's speaking to me in ways that his music hasn't spoken to me in years, and it's just like fucking, it's just sad, man. His legacy alone is inspiring. You know, what he's left behind is inspiring enough to inspire a generation. That's kind of why I wanted to make this video and talk about death, because something about his death was just really bothering me. You know, it was just really getting to me. You know, like day one, it was like I was in denial. I was like, well, this has to be like one of his publicity stunts. Like, he's been dead before, I'm pretty sure, right? Like, you know, he's done shit like this before. And, you know, on day two, it really hit me, and I was just so sad about it. I did like a really big, ugly cry in the shower, got it out, and then I was like, man, one of the things about it that bothered me so much was how sudden it was. Because this guy is on the biggest world tour of his life. He's going to fucking Antarctica and playing a show. Like, craziest tour I've ever seen. After like the first set of shows in Brazil, dead. Like, what the fuck, right? So sudden. It's like there's no closing message, no closure. It was just nothing. It was just gone. Right? Poof. Dead. And that really struck me in a way that my head couldn't wrap itself in. It was like I was really hurting because of that. I mean, this is a bit morbid, but one of the things that helped me come to terms with the fact that he was dead, I might get shit for this. I went on Reddit and I searched for the photos of the crash. And you know, the helicopter crashed into like an electric car thing, right? Like a parking lot full of electric cars. They got like vaporized by lithium. It was like the worst possible scenario. Lo and behold, I go online and I look at some pictures of like the charred corpses and I say, okay, dead. You know, like that's, as morbid as that is, seeing like a dead body that might have not even been him did help me like come to terms with the fact that he was gone. And I think the world's reaction is kind of, it's like that thing. It's like you never really realize how much the world needed someone until they're gone. You know what I mean? I might just be ranting. I think a good point to take away from this video is that death is very easily dismissed until it's in front of you. I guess I'll end the video with that. I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? Tell me your death stories. Tell me do you relate? I don't know. Tell me about it. Thank you guys for listening to me. Maybe I've been having a bit of a hard time with this. I'm okay now. It still sucks, but at least we have his legacy to look back on. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. It makes my day when I see you guys commenting on my shit. So just thank you for being you and always be you. Stay beautiful.